I thought of those two phrases. And I know that if I were to just say, David is calling us to be fearless. He is calling us to be fearless. Why? Because the Lord has set a table up. He has set a feast for me to enjoy in the presence of my enemies. He is calling us to be fearless. And I know that I would lose about 90% of you because I'm you. And don't be afraid and fearless feel like two completely different things. Don't be afraid, which is sort of like for us, let's just say there's a neutral point here, and we're fearful, whatever our greatest fear is, and we're down here in fear, and we read the Bible and it says, don't be afraid because I'm here. And so we go, okay, God, I'm going to try not to be afraid, and we're going back up, and basically our goal is to get back to neutral. But then if I were to say live fearless, then in your mind it would immediately go to this sort of extreme, reckless, skydiving, base jumping for no reason, risk-taking behavior. Why is it that we think fearlessness or fearless living, fearless behavior is associated with arrogance or ignorance, when the actual definition of don't be afraid is to be fearless, right? But again, I'm with you. We think opposite ends of the spectrum. But here's David. David says, I won't be afraid as I walk through fear because I know you're with me. I will not let fear determine what I see because God is with me. And then he takes a step into fearless behavior. God has set up a table for me, a feast, an abundant life for me to live and thrive and enjoy in the presence of real danger, of real enemies. That's fearless. That's fearless. And as I was looking through that, I thought, okay, well, it's not arrogance or ignorance because David didn't say, I set up a table in the presence of my enemies and said, look at me. Watch me enjoy and not even pretend you're here. That would be denial or ignorance or arrogance on your part and on David's part. No. David says, I won't fear, you're with me. By the way, you set up a table. You set up this feast. You gave me this life right now at this opportunity where I live, work, and play to engage it to the fullness that you've given it to me. You've set up this idea of fearless in the presence of real danger. And here's where the Christian subculture has never done us any real favors. Okay, where we think that all of a sudden to be fearless and to live fearlessly would be because God takes us, he sets up the table for us to enjoy our lives and, without fear being present, without enemies being present, where all of a sudden we're in this little subculture of Christianity where nothing bad goes wrong and, you're not supposed to struggle with that anymore and you're not supposed to deal with that. This is where it hasn't done us any favors. This kind of Christian subculture. It's like if you guys all see Wizard of Oz with that bubble over the city, like nothing bad could get in. Well, something bad got in, right? There's this idea that doesn't exist. And God goes, I've set your feast up for you. It's in the presence of danger. It's in real life. The cancer's real. Kids die before their time all the time. The person who wants to destroy you at work because they don't like your character and they don't like your stand, they're real. That circumstance with a job loss or whatever that would crush you financially, it's a real danger. I have set up this ability for you to be fearless in the presence of your enemies. But you've called us for something more. David's like, no. I'm with you. I'm not going to be afraid when I walk through fear. But beyond that, you've set up a feast for me. You've set up this abundant life, this beautiful table for me to sit at and enjoy and be with you in the presence of my enemies. That changes things. It changes. That's no longer something quilted on a pillow. That's something that's challenging to you and me to understand what would it look like to live fearless. In the circumstances in your life, what would it look like to live fearless?